He didn't understand calendars or clocks. He understood the angle of light that meant morning, the sound of a specific engine, the footsteps that were different from all other footsteps. The door opened at 7:42 on a Tuesday morning, the same as every morning. Hachi heard it before it happened, the particular creak of the hinges, the whisper of slippers on tatami. He lifted his head from the genkan, cream-coloured ears forward, dark eyes tracking the movement in the hallway. Professor Hidesaburo Ueno appeared in the doorway, tweed jacket over one arm, leather satchel heavy with student papers. 53 years old, steel-rimmed glasses catching the morning light, the smell of pipe tobacco and yesterday's chalk dust still clinging to his sleeves.
Good morning, Hachi. Ready for our walk?
The ritual had been the same for 3 years, since the day Ueno brought home a cream-furred puppy with ears too large for his head, a gift from a colleague in Akita prefecture. Every morning, they walked together to Shibuya station. Every evening at 5:15, Hachi returned to platform 3 and waited for the train that brought his person home. Some people said it was routine, conditioning, the behavioral predictability of animals. But if you'd watched Hachi's face when Ueno knelt to scratch behind his ears, if you'd seen the way the dog leaned his full weight against the professor's leg, eyes half closed in absolute trust, you would have known it was something routine couldn't measure and conditioning couldn't explain. They walked through the Aoyama district as the city woke. Cherry blossoms were 3 weeks past peak, petals drifting across stone pathways like pale pink snow. Hachi walked at Ueno's left side, never pulling, never lagging. His paws knew every crack in the pavement, every turn, every shortcut. Past the sake shop where the owner swept his entrance, past the shrine where old women left offerings of rice and coins, past the bakery where steam rose from vents, and the smell of anpan made Hachi's nose twitch. Ueno would sometimes stop, buy a pastry, break off a corner for the dog when he thought no one was looking. But not this morning. This morning, Ueno walked faster. His breath came slightly shorter. Once, he paused, pressed his hand against a wooden post, stood very still for 10 seconds. Then he continued. Hachi noticed. He stayed closer, his shoulder brushing Ueno's leg. Shibuya station rose ahead, iron and wood, platforms stretching like fingers into the Tokyo morning. The smell of coal smoke, damp concrete, the previous night's rain still pooling in the low places. The 7:49 departure bell was ringing, Ueno's train. They reached the platform. This was the moment. Every morning, the same moment. Ueno would kneel, his knees creaking with the motion, and he would hold Hachi's face in both hands and say the words.
I'll be back, Hachi. I always come back.
The dog looked at him. Not the way dogs look at walls or passing cars. The way you look at someone when their face is the axis your world turns on. Hachi's tail moved. One slow sweep, left to right. That meant, I know, I'll be here. Ueno stood, adjusted his satchel, walked to the train. The doors closed, the engine pulled. The professor's face appeared in the window, hand raised, small wave. Hachi watched until the train curved out of sight. Then he turned, walked home. The morning ritual was complete. 5:15 came the way it always came. Light slanting low through the station rafters, the iron girders casting long shadows across platform 3. Hachi sat in his spot, the northwest corner where he could see the arrivals board and the track, and every face that came through the turnstile. The 5:12 pulled in. Hachi stood, tail up, ears forward. The doors opened. Passengers streamed out like water from a broken dam. Salarymen in dark suits, university students with armloads of books, mothers with children clutching their hands. No Ueno. Hachi sat back down. Sometimes the professor took the 5:27. Meetings ran long, lectures stretched past their hour. Hachi had learned patience. Patience was part of love. The 5:27 arrived. The crowd thinned. The platform began to empty. No tweed jacket, no leather satchel, no footsteps that sounded different from all other footsteps. The 5:43, the 6:08, the 6:32. Hachi didn't move. His eyes tracked every face. His nose sorted every scent. Tobacco, chalk dust, wool, rain. None of them right, none of them his.
Still here, boy? Your person usually comes by now.
The flower vendor, Kimiko, stood 3 stalls down. Weathered hands, permanent dirt under her fingernails from handling stems. She'd seen Hachi every evening for 3 years, watched the reunion ritual, the way the dog would stand on his hind legs, paws on Ueno's chest, tail a blur of joy.
Welcome, welcome. Lovely evening to sell flowers, isn't it?
มันจะเวค่ะก๋วยเตี๋ยวคนจังเลยจะนั่งดังมันมาละเรียนะฮะจะถามดังมาค่ะ
7:15. The evening rush thinned to a trickle. Station Master Kobayashi walked past, brass buttons catching the overhead lights, keys jangling at his belt.
Go home, dog. Station's closing for the night.
Hachi's ears moved, hearing but not obeying. He stood, walked to the edge of the platform, looked down the empty track as if will alone could summon what would not come. His tail lowered. For the first time in 3 years, it did not wag when the train arrived. At 8:37, a man in a dark uniform stepped onto the platform. Not a conductor, not a commuter. He walked to the station master's office, bowed once, spoke in a voice too low to hear. Kobayashi's face changed, went grey. He removed his cap, held it against his chest. The news moved like wind through the station. Platform workers whispered. The ticket seller covered her mouth. Kimiko heard it from the porter, who heard it from the station master, who heard it from the university courier. Professor Hidesaburo Ueno had collapsed during his afternoon lecture, a cerebral hemorrhage. The student said he'd been writing on the board, something about soil composition and root systems, and then his hand stopped moving. He turned, looked at the class with an expression of profound surprise, and fell. He was dead before the ambulance arrived.
Oh no. Oh, that poor dog.
She looked toward platform 3. Hachi was still there, still sitting, still watching the empty track, waiting for a train that would arrive every day for the next 9 years, carrying everyone except the one person who mattered. He didn't know yet. He wouldn't know for days, maybe weeks, maybe never, the way humans measured knowing. But somewhere in the architecture of his chest, in the place where devotion lives deeper than thought, something had already started to break. The last morning had ended. The long vigil was about to begin. Day 1. Hachi returned to the station at 5:03 in the afternoon, sat in his spot. The 5:15 arrived. Ueno did not step off. The dog waited until the platform emptied. Then he walked home, slower than usual, his head low. Day 2. Same. 5:03, platform 3. The trains came and went like clockwork. Ueno did not. Kimiko left a bowl of water near the flower stall. Hachi drank, but his eyes never left the track. Day 7. Yasuko Ueno, the professor's widow, came to the station. Black mourning dress, face carved from grief. She knelt on the platform beside Hachi, put her hand on his head.
He's not coming back, Hachi. Do you
The dog
understand?
Looked back at the track. Yasuko's throat tightened. She tried to lift him, 43 kilos of muscle and fur and stubbornness. He pulled away, not aggressive, just immovable. She came back the next day with a leash, managed to get him halfway to the street. He planted his paws, refused. She pulled harder, he pulled back. For 5 minutes, they stood locked in a silent battle of wills. A widow trying to move forward, and a dog who had made waiting his religion. She let go of the leash. He went back to the platform. She watched him sit down in his spot, and something inside her collapsed.
I can't watch this. I can't watch you break your heart every day.
She stopped coming, not because she didn't care, because she cared too much. Grief is heavy enough without carrying a witness to your own. Weeks became months. Hachi's routine did not waver. Morning walk to the station, alone now, the streets emptier without Ueno's footsteps beside him. Afternoons spent in the garden of the empty house. 5:03, return to platform 3. Wait. Watch. Every face examined, every scent sorted, none of them right. Kimiko began bringing food, rice balls, bits of fish. Hachi ate, slowly, without enthusiasm, because the body demands what the heart has forgotten. She brought a blanket when the November cold arrived, folded it in his spot. He lay on it, nose on paws, eyes fixed on the track.
You can't keep feeding him. He's becoming a fixture. People are complaining.
Let them complain. That dog has more honor than half the people walking through here.
Winter came. Snow fell on platform 3. Hachi sat in it, white flakes gathering on his cream fur until he looked like part of the landscape. Commuters walked past, collars up, faces down. A few stopped, stared, moved on. 1 year. The anniversary of Ueno's death arrived without ceremony. Hachi had no calendar to mark it, but Kimiko did. She brought him grilled mackerel that day, Ueno's favorite, set it in front of the dog. Hachi sniffed it, ate 3 bites, left the rest. She sat down beside him on the cold platform.
You're waiting for someone who can't come back. You know that, don't you? Somewhere in there, you must know.
His ears moved, hearing but not answering. She reached out, ran her weathered hand along his back. He leaned into the touch, just slightly, the first affection he'd accepted since Ueno died. Then the 5:15 pulled in, and his attention snapped back to the train. The touch was forgotten. The wait resumed. 2 years. His muzzle started to grey. The cream fur around his eyes faded to white. He moved slower, climbed the station steps one at a time instead of bounding up them. But every day, 5:03, he was there. 3 years. A newspaper reporter named Saito noticed. Young, hungry for a story. He watched Hachi for 3 days before approaching Kimiko.
I'm covering the story about the missing circus elephant.
Ah, yes. The little fellow was right here. Healthy as can be, too.
How long has that dog been coming here?
Every day since his owner died.
Saito wrote the article, 1 page in the Tokyo Asahi Shimbun. The faithful dog of Shibuya Station. It included a photograph, Hachi sitting in his spot, the arrivals board visible above him, commuters blurred in motion around his stillness. The city read it, and something in the collective heart of Tokyo, a culture built on duty, loyalty, sacrifice, recognized itself in a cream-colored dog who would not stop waiting. They started coming. Not just commuters now, families, children who wanted to see the loyal dog, old men who bowed to him like he was a shrine. People left offerings, treats, toys, a woolen blanket embroidered with his name. Station Master Kobayashi stopped trying to remove him. Instead, he gave orders. "Leave the dog alone. He has more right to this platform than any of us." 4 years. Hachi's joints stiffened with arthritis. He limped slightly on cold mornings, but he climbed those steps. Every day, 5:03. 5 years. School children learned his name. Teachers told his story in classrooms across Japan. The dog who would not give up. the dog who proved love was stronger than logic. 6 years. Kimiko turned 60. Her hands ached from the cold, from decades of handling flowers. But every evening she waited for Hachi to arrive, filled his water bowl, sat with him until the last train departed. They were both waiting now. She for him to finally rest, he for something that would never come. 7 years. A young couple came to the station on their way to their wedding. The bride knelt beside Hachi, touched his head, whispered a prayer for lasting devotion. The groom took a photograph. They would frame it, hang it in their home as a reminder of what faithfulness looked like. 8 years. A delegation from the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals visited. They examined Hachi, his weight, his coat, his eyes, declared him well cared for by the community, recommended the city erect a small shelter on the platform for him. The city council voted unanimously in favor. 9 years. A sculptor approached Kimiko with a proposal, a bronze statue, life-size, to honor the dog while he still lived. She looked at Hachi, nearly 11 years old now, his face more white than cream, his body thinner despite her daily feeding.
Yes, let them remember what devotion looks like. Let them see it cast in metal so it outlives us all.
9 years, 7 months, 15 days. The seasons had cycled through him like water through cupped hands. Cherry blossoms had bloomed and fallen 116 times since that last morning. The 5:15 had arrived 3,508 times. Hachi had watched every single one, had examined every face, had waited with a patience that would break your heart if you understood its futility, and rebuild it if you understood its meaning. People called him faithful, devoted, loyal beyond reason. But if you asked Hachi if dogs could answer such questions, he would not understand the words. He knew only this. Once, a man with gentle hands and the smell of chalk dust had knelt in front of him every morning and said, "I'll be back." And Hachi believed him so completely that 9 years of absence could not break that belief. Believed him the way you believe the sun will rise. Believed him the way you believe your own heartbeat. The world called it devotion. Hachi called it truth. March 8th, 1935. The morning came cold and clear. Hachi woke in the garden of the house that no longer belonged to Yasuko. She had moved away years ago, unable to bear the memories. The house stood empty, but the garden remained, and Hachi still slept there, in the place where he had once walked beside Ueno among the cherry trees. He was old now, 11 years and 3 months. His legs trembled when he stood, his breathing came heavier. The vet Kimiko had brought 6 months ago said the same thing she'd been hearing for 3 years. His heart is strong, stronger than it should be. It's like something is keeping him alive. Hachi walked to the station, slower than before, one step, then another. His paws knew the path even when his eyes grew cloudy with age. Left at the sake shop, straight past the shrine. The bakery was gone now, replaced by a Western-style cafe, but the smell of bread still sometimes drifted through the morning air like a ghost. Platform 3, 503. He climbed the steps, stopping twice to rest, and sat in his spot. The worn stone beneath him, polished smooth by 11 years of patient wait. They called it Hachi's place now. No one stood there, not out of rule, out of respect. Kimiko arrived early. She was 70 now, her flower stall run by her daughter most days, but she still came for Hachi, still brought him food. Soft rice today, easy on old teeth. She knelt beside him, joints protesting, and set the bowl down. His tail moved. A slow sweep. Once. The same gesture he'd made to Ueno on that last morning. "I know, I'm here." No Ueno. There had been no Ueno for 3,508 trains, but Hachi watched anyway, because hope is not a calculation. Hope is a heartbeat, and his heart was still beating.
Be gentle, sweetheart. May you be blessed with longevity.
The crowd noticed him. They always did now. A man in a business suit paused, bowed slightly. A child broke free from her mother's hand, ran to Hachi, touched his head with small fingers. The mother didn't scold. She smiled. Let the child kneel beside the famous dog. Let her learn what loyalty looked like when it had a face and fur and eyes that had seen too much waiting. 6:08 train, 6:32, 7:15. The evening sky turned from blue to violet to the deep purple of gathering night. The platform emptied. Kimiko stood, knees creaking.
Come on, Hachi. Time to go home.
He looked at her, then back at the track. She sighed. She'd learned years ago you couldn't force him. She left the blanket, tucked it around him against the March cold, touched his head one more time. She didn't know those would be the last words she'd ever say to him while he could still hear them. The last train departed at 11:43. Hachi was alone on the platform. The station lights dimmed. The city beyond the iron gates hummed with its nighttime rhythms. He lay down on the blanket, rested his muzzle on his paws. His breathing was shallow, laboured. Somewhere deep in his chest, something was finally letting go. Not his devotion, that would never let go, but his body, the physical architecture that had carried his faithfulness for 11 years, was tired, so tired. He closed his eyes. And perhaps, in whatever place dogs go when thought dissolves into pure sensation, he felt it. Warm hands holding his face, the smell of chalk and tobacco. A voice, gentle and certain, saying the words one more time.
Good boy, Hachi, good boy. I'm here now. I'm finally here.
At 4:17 in the morning, a station worker found him, still on the blanket, curled as if sleeping, his body still warm but no longer breathing. He had died facing the track, waiting until the very end. The news spread like a shockwave. By noon, the station was filled with flowers, mountains of them, chrysanthemums and cherry blossoms and white lilies stacked 3 feet high around the spot where Hachi had waited. People wept openly. Strangers who had never met the dog but had heard his story. Children who had been taught his name in school. The newspapers ran front-page obituaries. Hachi, the faithful dog of Shibuya, has died. Radio stations announced it between programs. The entire city of Tokyo entered a period of mourning for an animal who had proven that devotion was not the exclusive domain of humans. They held a funeral, a formal ceremony at Shibuya Station, attended by thousands. Station Master Kobayashi, now retired, now old, stood with his hat over his heart. Kimiko wept into her hands, her daughter's arm around her shoulders. Yasuko Ueno came. She had stayed away for years, unable to bear the sight of Hachi's waiting. But now she stood on platform 3 and whispered, "Thank you. Thank you for loving him when I couldn't watch anymore." They erected the bronze statue where they'd planned, northwest corner of platform 3, life-size. Hachi sitting, ears forward, eyes on the track. The sculptor had captured something in the metal face, not sadness, not hope, something beyond both. The expression of a creature who had made a promise and kept it until his body gave out. The unveiling ceremony drew thousands. Children touched the bronze nose for good luck. Lovers made wishes at the statue's feet. Every year on March 8th, the anniversary of his death, people would gather, leave flowers, tell the story to those who hadn't heard it. And the story spread, beyond Tokyo, beyond Japan, across oceans and continents. Books were written, films were made. Hachi became a symbol recognized around the world, proof that love, real love, the kind that costs everything and asks nothing in return, exists. Proof that faithfulness is not a human invention. It is older, deeper, written in the very architecture of the heart. But perhaps the most important part of the story is this. The statue still stands at Shibuya Station, and on any given evening, if you visit platform 3, you will see people waiting beneath it. Lovers meeting after work, parents collecting children, friends reuniting after long absences. And every single one of them, whether they know Hachi's story or not, is waiting for someone, believing they will come, trusting in the promise of return. They don't know they're honoring him, but they are, because waiting for the ones we love, that's the most human thing we do. And Hachi, a cream-colored Akita who didn't understand calendars or clocks, taught an entire world how to do it with grace. He waited 9 years, 7 months, and 15 days. And in doing so, he waited for all of us, showed us what it means to believe in someone so completely that absence becomes just another form of presence. The trains still run on time. The 5:15 still arrives at platform 3. And if you close your eyes and listen carefully, some people swear they can still hear it. The soft click of nails on stone, a cream-colored dog settling into his spot, waiting, still waiting, always waiting, faithful until the very end.